Welcome to Compas on the Beat. I am Fernando Ramirez, Chargers beat reporter for Sports Illustrated. With me, as always, is my co-host, my tag team partner, Gilbert Manzano, OC Register, LA Daily News, and also we got Dan and Dago here with us talking a little Super Bowl. So I'm gonna pluralize it today. What's up, bros?
What's up, Fernando? I just started thinking, and I also welcome Dan and Diego. We squashed the beef, as you guys know. But I was thinking, Fernando, that I can't recall did yesterday I bet a dinner or a lunch for you about if you get Pat McAfee on the show that I have to buy you dinner? Right? Is that something that I threw out there? Hopefully I didn't, right?
Correct, you did.
Okay, I was afraid of that, so I want to start this show by saying we got one step closer to that, I guess, goal of Fernando, that challenge, because that's what we have Dan and Dago on. Dan and Dago was not Dan and Dago yesterday. We were here working until 9:30 p.m. maybe, and I'm gonna say mostly that's my fault because I was typing away as your boy's always on deadline. Shout out to somebody who is always talking about my deadline. You know who you are if you're watching. And speaking of shout out, this guy Dan and Dago became Dan fanboy when he saw Pat McAfee and the boys coming through at 9:30 p.m. AJ Hawk was there. Some guy named Zito, not Barry Zito, the baseball player. The gang was there. And Dan and Dago, I'll let you take it away. But somebody got starstruck. And how did that encounter go for you, Cowboy, there?
First off, finally, your damn deadline benefited me. It wasn't every single time I hear him complain about the deadline. Of course, it's when my team's losing, trying to come back. That's what he's worried about, his dang deadline. But let me tell you something, everybody. It was not my proudest moment yesterday. I ain't gonna lie, that was not good. So we were here, thankfully, because Gilberto, your boy can't be screaming in here because then they're probably gonna escort me out. They're gonna be like, "What the hell's this guy doing in here?"
First of all, who let him Dan and Dago? By the way, that's what I'm surprised about here.
That's big facts. He says that. People have been asking me today. I know some people here in the media and the blue checkmark brigade. They ask me, and you know what I tell them? I have no idea. But it happened. So, hey, your boy Dan and Dago's here. He's looking sharp. Anyway, trying to sidetrack me. Let me get back to my story with Sir Patrick McAfee and Sir AJ Hawk of Ohio. So yesterday, thankfully, his deadline came in clutch, Kobe clutch. That's how clutch it came in. We were here, all of a sudden, Frown looks up and he goes, "Oh my God." And I said, what's going on? He's like, look, I think it's Pat. Of course, you're blind, bro. You're looking over. I can't see a damn thing until all of a sudden I hear my brother say, "He's sleeveless." And I said, "No way. Show me some beautiful white arms out there." And lo and behold, he was there. And I started shaking everything. Then, of course, guess what Stooge over here, the sports Grinch, decides to do? Take his time, write his story, upload it so slow. I was worried they were going to leave. They were getting their setup going. I was like, I swear to everything I know and believe, Gilberto, if you don't move your ass to get out of here and ask him for a photo, I'm going to lose it. You're staying in downtown LA by yourself tonight.
Well, let me cut you off, Danny boy. You can't act too desperate because you already kind of embarrassed yourself in front of them. First of all, you got the picture. Check out his Instagram because it's a good picture. But yes, Danny boy and Fernando were trying to rush me like, okay, they're right there setting up, checking out their spot at Radio Row. And I'm like, let me finish my story or let me finish posting the podcast. We'll get there. And you were pretty much, like anti, you were moving around. And then we finally get there right on time because I know what I'm doing, Danny boy. "Oh, I can't believe you're here, Mr. Pat. Oh, can't believe it. Will you sign my autograph?"
All of a sudden I sound like Mickey Mouse. Oh, but that's all right. I'm not your boy. He ain't gonna lie. That was not good what happened. So I walk up. I'm like shaking. I was dehydrated. I was malnourished. There's nothing here to eat. So I'm walking up shaking. And I'm like, I get tongue-tied. And Frown's my translator saying hello to Pat. And he walks over or Frown tells him, he's like, "Hey, my brother's a big fan. Like, can he get a picture with you?" And of course I'm tongue-tied. I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. Then he comes over and he's like, "Sup, dude, I'm Pat." Fist bumps me and everything. Like, it was just awesome. It was surreal. Of course, Gilberto. has a good point. I did embarrass myself, but I redeemed myself today, which is a story for another day. But we fist bumped. Frau, again, my translator, so he knows I really wanted to take a picture with AJ Hawk as well. Asked him over, and they were super cool. And honestly, like, all jokes aside, some of the greatest human beings. Obviously at the stage that they are in their life, they could have easily blown anybody off, but they were so nice. They were so cool. They knew that. Yeah, I'm sure I hope I'm not the worst one they ever dealt with, but that was just epic to get my picture with the boys and Pat.
I'm definitely gonna have to ask Pat on if we do get him on. I mean, he was cool enough to be like, oh yeah, I'll jump on. So hopefully we'll his busy schedule allows him to jump on with us. That'd be definitely awesome. But I do want to ask him that, hey, is my brother kind of been the one that you're like, oh, shell shock for? Which was actually pretty cool. But Dan, why don't you got to let everybody know, you can't just save it. What happened today with him?
So let me tell you something. Your boy recovered today. He said, I was walking over there because I saw him coming off stage, and I was kind of walking through. Well, first off, I got the shock last night because I went through my likes, and guess who liked it? Sir Patrick McAfee. And the worst part is I should have missed McAfee to just add that level of respect. I don't know him, calling him Pat, acting like we're drinking buddies, but he was awesome. So I was walking to the restroom.
Well, he told you, hey, my name is Pat. So there you go.
Big facts. But anyway, I was walking over there to the bathroom with Gilberto because obviously we have to go, and he's a bathroom buddy. He's afraid to go by himself, the nervous Nelly. But anyway, so we're walking over there, and all of a sudden Pat looks up. Obviously, I was trying so hard not to stare, but your boy Dan Indago's not very subtle. He's a brute. He's a Neanderthal. And so all of a sudden he's like, hey, bud, how you doing today? I said, hey, Pat, how you doing today? And we struck up a little conversation. He said, hey, way to make me look good last night. And he could whiten my teeth or added a little tan, but it's all right. You made me look good last night. And I told him, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a little, your boy Dan Indago is a little slow when it comes to tech. And on top of that, I joked with him. If you don't know the Pat McAfee show, I told him I was scared to add tan because he was on Ariel Helwani's show. He's another media member, covers WWE, UFC, and stuff like that. And he added a tan to him, but he made him real red. So Pat started laughing. He's like, yeah, you better not make me look red. I can't stand that stuff. And it was just, he's awesome. He's awesome.
You're leaving out the best part, Dan. Your beloved hero, former punter for the Colts, if you don't know, by the way. This guy's a famous talk show host, but he also played football. Fernando and Dan, you guys don't say that part. Not everybody knows Pat McAfee like you guys. Trading stories, okay, I hear you guys. But the best part is Sir Pat or Sir McAfee, whatever you want to call him, he wears ripped jeans like your boy right here. And you spend weeks making fun of my ripped jeans, saying they're half off. Where'd you find those things in a dumpster? And then your boy over there. By the way, that picture pose you guys had was pretty cool. I'm not as starstruck as you guys, but when Pat's like, yeah, let's take a picture. Let's be like rock stars out there. And he puts his leg out like he's Captain Hook. And I saw the ripped jeans out there, and I had to tell you, Dan, that your hero also wears ripped jeans. So now I'm hoping you get a pair of ripped jeans and maybe some bedazzled ones too.
All right, you better pump the brakes over there with that bedazzled garbage. But yeah, of course, Gilberto over here can't let me have a moment. He was over here trying to pull out his show from his backpack and just bury me in front of Pat, talking about how I make fun of him for ripped jeans and all this stuff. He didn't notice I was over here not only on cloud 9, but in the ER at the same time. So I was having a stroke. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't muster a coherent sentence, and he's over here trying to bury me in front of Sir Patrick McAfee. You put some respect on his name.
Yeah, no, it's been a great couple of days. I think that moment was funny for all of us, but yeah, no, it's been a good 2 days. Today we had Darren, former Chargers running back Darren Sproles, Saints and Eagles also, and then we also had James Rapien, who he's SI for he covers the Bengals for SI. He had a lot of really good information for us, and I mean we had him on when the Chargers played the Bengals, and we joked around a little bit about that game because everybody remembers the Chargers blew out the Bengals. And ever since that game, it seemed like that's when the Bengals picked it up. So I asked him about that. So it's a pretty good. And today, for all you keeping score today, I think I had a half and Gilbert had a half where we were missing. I was missing for half of the Darren Sproles interview, and Gilbert due to Wi-Fi issues, and Gilbert was missing half of the James one. But hey, Gilbert recovered beautifully, and it was a great interview with James, and we're having some good laughs.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. It's been a long day, Fernando. Yeah, we spoke with Darren Sproles like at 7 in the morning Pacific time. And usually I'm the one with computer issues, but you found like the Wi-Fi from like 1999. Your screen was frozen. You're trying to do the what? And then you just stopped there. You couldn't get it out. You're like, you know what? Just take it away, Gilbert. Be the host of the Compas and B. I'm like, you know what? I've been ready for this moment, like Joe Burrow and Darren Sproles and I had a nice little chat. And then, you guys, obviously I'm going to give it away. I don't want to give it away, but what I'm saying is that it's a good interview. Check it out. That's what you call a tease in the business. Fernando asked a good question. He bounced back the same way I did with James. And, I know it's only Tuesday, but talking to James, man, got me going with the big game, Fernando. We're here not just for celebrity sightings and dropping our jaws for celebrities like Dan and Dago, but we're here for a game, the Rams and the Bengals, Joe Burrow against Matthew Stafford. So talking to James, really breaking it down, got me excited for this Super Bowl LVI in LA.
Well, the thing is that this really doesn't pick up until Wednesday, but I feel like the game atmosphere doesn't pick up till Friday. I feel like right now it's still kind of like, you know why it hasn't picked up? I don't think because there was no media night, there was no other stuff like that. So I feel like that's kind of where it kind of slowed down a little bit, but I'm sure it'll start picking up once the week continues. But man, it's been a good 2 days here. Like obviously Dan and Dago's story about Pat, and Pat was awesome. I mean, he really, I was surprised that he recognized these guys the next day. So that was pretty cool. Hopefully we can do a Compas and Pat McAfee mix up or something there where we get him and AJ Hawk on and do a little something. That's what we're trying to go for, but we'll see. But definitely it's been a crazy week, to say the least. But Gilbert, I mean, the fun's only beginning, huh?
I was gonna say or give another shout out to my own Super Bowl Daily blog. By the way, it took me a while to realize what you guys talking about with those shout out screams. So now I know. And Fernando, if you land Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk on the show, I'm gonna learn the lingo. But anyways, like I have a Super Bowl Daily blog here for the Orange County Register, LA Daily News. Shout out for my story. And I didn't know what to write about yesterday. I'm like, why did I sign up for a blog from Monday through Friday? And, as you guys know, that's why we're here late. I was working on the blog. I was struggling to write stuff, and it worked out. But today I have plenty to write about because as soon as we walked in, we saw Lincoln Riley, USC head coach. We saw Justin Jefferson walking around. We saw The Miz, awesome wrestler. Fernando, did I do that right? And then we saw a legend, Barry Sanders, walking around. Dude, I saw Marshall Faulk. I saw Terrell Davis. So a lot of good running backs out here. And not just that, Fernando, like the cool thing about being out here too, Radio Row, you're kind of reconnecting with people in the business that you don't see as often. So to kind of be together in a little, this hub here for Super Bowl LVI has been pretty cool. Definitely hasn't been, as, I guess, exciting or as like a crazy atmosphere just yet. But for this Tuesday, it picked up from Monday.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we want to give a quick shout to Dan and Dago because he's been any post that you see on social media, those are all him. The Gilbert's new profile photo, that was him. So definitely it's been a huge help having him here because if not, Gilbert and I would be running around we'd be two chickens with our heads cut off running around trying to get everything done and trying to do different things. So, and then obviously, like Dan said, Gilbert now has a bathroom buddy. Gilbert and I can't leave this table together just in case if somebody comes up. So, boom, Dan is our designated bathroom buddy for Gilbert. They both go almost the same amount of times that that each of them do. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure Dan is also taking it in and having fun as well.
Yeah, it's been crazy these few days. Yeah, like again, for the record, I apologize for the way I acted with Sir Patrick McAfee the first night. It's funny. I was driving my mom the other day before I came up here with obviously the Compas, and I was telling her it's so crazy because you see these guys on screen all the time, and you make them into some like deity or some icon, idol, whatever word you want to use. But then you see these guys living, breathing, and they put on the pants the same way I do every morning, and it's just crazy to, I guess, see them in person, because you'd never think you would ever rub elbows with the blue check mark brigade up here, and like all these people who you watched growing up and everything. Like when we ran into Coachman, all of a sudden all these memories were flooding back in from WWE with the way he was talking to The Rock, how he goes, "That's the coach look, baby," and stuff like that. Like, just just crazy seeing these guys actually in person. Like, it's almost like I must be dreaming pinch me moment.
Definitely, but you know what? Because Gilbert got to interview this guest, I'm gonna let Gilbert present the first interview that we got.
Yeah, we're going to Chargers. Legend. I think he qualifies as a legend. He had some good years with the Chargers. He was there for that reunion with the Chargers. What game was that? I forget, Fernando, but he was part of that. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I think that was the No, that was not the Broncos game. It was the one before the Chiefs, the Giants game. It was a Giants game.
He took a picture, right? Dan and Diego took a picture of Darren.
That's right. I flagged him down in the parking lot. All of a sudden, I see this guy coming up to or walking towards me, towards the stadium in Charger gear. And I looked at his face. I was like, no way. I'm like, excuse me, sir. Are you Darren Sproles? He's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, oh, expletive. Like, how awesome. Like, I said, hey, is it cool if I take a picture with you? So awesome. Great dude. So nice. He even like took his hand and talked to me. I told him, oh, I was so mad when they let you go and everything. And he's like, oh, it's the nature of the business. Awesome guy, great guy. Still have that photo on my roll. Your boy's racking it up.
I was gonna say, does everybody have a picture of Dan and Diego? Jesus, they love that cowboy hat, I guess. But
I think Gilbert wants one.
No, not yet. But actually, he's been a good photographer. I do like the pictures. I'll give him credit for that. I gave you photo credit in my Instagram picture. So you're doing great things out here, Dan and Diego. But yes, let's get to our first interview with Darren Sproles, former running back for the Chargers. Play for the Saints, play for the Eagles, and we caught up with him, and he asked him for his thoughts on the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Bengals.
Now I'm excited to introduce Darren Sproles, Chargers legend, played with the Eagles as well, won a Super Bowl, so you're used to the kind of these big game atmospheres, and also play with the Saints. Darren's been a couple of years away from the game, but so far, how's life treating you?
Man, good. It's been good. I'm getting a lot of time to spend with my kids and stuff like that, man. So it's been fun.
What's kind of the hardest thing to I guess leave from the game? Is just kind of being out there on Sundays, or do you not even miss it at all?
Nah, the hardest part is being like in the locker room, like that time, like with your teammates and stuff like that, laughing and joking. That's the thing that you miss.
And there, just kind of being in the big game, the Super Bowl. I think you played in that chaotic Eagles Patriots game. Is that correct for the Super Bowl?
Yeah. That's the year I was hurt, but yeah.
Okay.
I was on the team.
Okay, so I wasn't too sure, but just kind of being part of that and seeing kind of the Nick Foles and Philly and the atmosphere, because I feel like with Cincinnati, with the Bengals, they started believing and they get a lot of hype for Joe Burrow. In terms of the atmosphere and the hype and being around a locker room like that, can you kind of compare being on the outside looking in at Cincinnati with the way your Eagles were? I know the Bengals want to be an underdog, but kind of the Eagles embrace that for a little bit with the little dog mask.
Right. It's like the same. It's the same. Like they're the underdog, but they got a lot of energy with themselves, man. And that young quarterback, Joe, like he just got his own little swag to him, don't he?
When you have a quarterback like that who could play like that and then have that confidence that he has, how does that make guys believe in the locker room? Get behind this guy. We could go beat the Chiefs. Go beat the Titans, #1 seed. Does that when a quarterback is that confident, does that kind of also give the teammates a little more of a confidence as well?
Yeah. Like when a quarterback is that confident, like that, like rubs off. It rubs off on his like his receivers, like his O-line and stuff like that. So the thing is like you need that quarterback like that, especially like when you have like young receivers. they coming in the league. Might be kind of nervous, but to have a quarterback like Joe is he gonna make the game way more relaxed for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like with Joe Burrow, he's only a second-year guy, but he's only he's like a veteran out there. Showing maybe even guys who are older than him, put him at ease. But Darren, you being a electric running back, I'm curious about your point of view on the matchup, especially a guy like Cam Akers who tore his Achilles in July to come back and play the way he is for the Rams, and then Joe Mixon on the other side for the Bengals. What do you think about the matchup in the Super Bowl for the running backs?
Man, it's like I feel like in order for Cincinnati to win, they're gonna have to run the ball. They're gonna have to dominate the clock. But I get an edge like to the running game. But the mixing something else, man.
So you going Bengals on the running game edge?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Since we're talking edge, what about the receivers? That's the one that's kind of good. You got Jamar Chase on the Bengals, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. Then the Rams, you got OBJ and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was lights out this year. I'm guessing maybe Rams. I really don't know. What do you think, Darren, for the matchup there?
Like the matchup, like the receiving core for the Rams, you can't go against them. Like Odell, Cooper Kupp. They also got the young receiver. They got the edge there.
Gotcha. And Darren, real quick before we let you go, we got our guy back on with the bad Wi-Fi, Fernando, but he's covered the Chargers for about 10 years, so he knows the Chargers very well. A few more questions about your time with the Chargers, and then we'll let you out of here, Darren. Is that cool? Take it away, Fernando.
Yeah. Sorry, Darren. Terrible Marriott Wi-Fi. Even upgraded, and that didn't help. So I apologize for that. Darren, just can you take us back to those Charger years? I mean, that you get drafted in the 4th round. Just what was your mindset? I mean, we hadn't seen a Darren Sproles before that, an electric guy who was maybe a little bit shorter than most, but you really took the top off. You had that 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th gear. Just can you talk about your mentality coming in when you first got drafted by the Chargers from Kansas State?
Yeah, when I first came in, like for me to come in and for me like to really learn the game from like LT and from like Michael Turner, like they helped me have like a long career. They're the ones that show me how to be a pro and all that. But like when I first came to the league, you had to find that niche. And then like for me, like my niche was the special teams, and then from like me being like a scat back, like get me in space, and like the thing is like that was my strength, and the Chargers figured that out like early.
I see you have a lot of footballs behind you, game balls given to you. I remember that 2008 Indy game where you took that handoff off the edge in the playoffs, ran into the end zone. Which one do you think is your favorite football that you have behind there?
Man, I got a lot of them that mean a lot. But that game really but sticks out to me though. That was a special night.
And then last one for me, Darren. Well, 2 last ones for me. But you played with both Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. Both of them guaranteed Hall of Famers?
Guaranteed.
All right.
They're gonna mess around to go in at the same time too.
They retired the same year. Yeah, that's awesome. And then Darren, last one for us. Prediction for Sunday. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who you got? Who you rolling with? Who's getting the Darren Sproles stamp of approval for Sunday?
Like my heart is telling me the Rams are going to win, but I'm going to cheer for Cincinnati. But
There you go.
also, I teamed up with Yahoo Sports. Yahoo Sports is the go-to destination for all sports fans. Yahoo just launched a free big game prompt quiz where fans can win up to $10,000, and fans can also be close to the game with Yahoo Sports $1 million daily fantasy contest. For all your information and more, you can go to sports.yahoo.com or download the app.
There you go.
Making
Fernando.
money.
You gotta make that
Making money while playing or while watching football. That's awesome. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Right. It just makes the game so much funner.
Yeah, no, it's as easy as that. Thank you. That's the great Darren Sproles. Thank you so much for jumping on with the Compas. We definitely appreciate it, Darren.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Compas on the Beat. You guys know this guy. We've had him on before. We talked Cincinnati Bengals with him. He covers them for SI. It is James Rapien, great friend of the show. Like I said, we've had him on. James, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Radio Row.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here. Wouldn't have thought this, right? Last time we chatted, we were previewing Bengals Chargers. Didn't necessarily think either team would be in Super Bowl 56. Yeah. But Joey Burrow is a different breed, man. So we're here.
Let me ask you, and I have to go back to that. The Chargers go in there, they blow out Cincinnati, and it was a blowout. I mean, Cincinnati kind of came back at the end, but then the Chargers kind of pulled away. What happened after that? What really started clicking? What do you think happened? Did they start getting healthy? Or Joe Burrow just really came into his own? What's your expert analysis?
Well, the first thing was the self-inflicted mistakes. I mean, Burrow has a touchdown to Jamar Chase, throws it right in his breadbasket. Chase, the first ever, and it's probably not the first ever, Fernando, but it might be the first ever wide receiver interception where the guy has it. It's probably six the other way. And then, they did come back, but it was just so many self-inflicted mistakes, the Joe Mixon fumble, right? And I think they were actually more confident after that game, after they watched the film. They were like, look, we were able to rally and come back, but we can't have these turnovers. We can't have these issues. And they were able to fix that, remedy that issue. And Burrow's playing at a high level, and they've won the turnover battle in each of these playoff games. And that goes such a long way when we're talking about January and February football.
So do you think if the Bengals win this weekend, they might send a basket over to the Chargers and say, hey, thanks, you guys woke us up?
Hey, yeah, I think they'll send baskets to anyone who wants one if they are able to pull this off. Because, again, I don't think anyone outside of the organization thought that this was realistic. I certainly didn't think it was realistic entering the season. Even at the end, even after they beat the Chiefs and clinched the AFC North and have swept the Ravens and swept the Steelers, I still had questions. And I think we're here at Radio Row. The Bengals are playing for a world championship as we record this in 5 days. And guess what? We still have questions, but this team continues to find a way to win. And that's really all that matters. And if they can do it one more time, then they can etch their name in history. And you're right, the Chargers will get a gift basket.
You're going to laugh, but I have to break every game down now because of everything that we saw. So Burrow and they play we don't have to go over the Raider game. That one was self-explanatory. By the way, that complaint that the Raiders had about him throwing it and the whistle and all, get out of here. It was a win. They beat the Raiders fair and square. There's no way you can complain. I'm sure Raiders media isn't complaining because that was a long season that they had. But let's move over to that Tennessee Titans game.
Yeah.
How in the hell do you get sacked 9 times and then go against Kansas City and only get sacked once? I think it was only once, if I'm not mistaken. What happened? What do you think? What happened in between those two games that really made the Titans' offensive line really be able to settle down and contain that Chiefs pass rush?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the offensive line was that much better. Which I know sounds crazy, right? 9 sacks, 13 quarterback hits against the Titans. The difference was the Titans were able to confuse Joe Burrow and make him second guess himself and make him hold the ball longer than he wanted. And when you're doing that and you're Burrow and you're this really mentally strong and that's probably his best trait, right? Is pre-snap, post-snap, recognizing what the defense is trying to do and exploit it. Find the weakness, find the matchup you want. Well, he struggled at times against the Titans to do that. So he had to hold the ball longer than he wanted. And that was a big part of that 9 sacks. Now, the offensive line was awful. I'm not defending it.
No.
But the difference is he couldn't be magical when they needed him to be. And keeping his composure and able to make the game-winning throw to Chase to set up the field goal, all of that was great. But I think we saw against the Chiefs, when he knows and has a really good idea of what the defense is going to do, he can evade the pass rush. He can get outside. He can make plays downfield. He'll use his legs if he needs to. And I think that was the difference. The Chiefs weren't able to confuse him the way the Titans did, and that's going to be a big part of Sunday's matchup in Super Bowl 56. Can Burrow keep himself upright, keep himself clean, so he can make plays downfield? He certainly did that against the Chiefs when it mattered, and did it a couple times against the Titans, but they're going to need him to do it a lot on Sunday.
The way I look at this weekend is the best way kind of to keep Matthew Stafford in that high-powered offense, how to keep them down is by controlling the clock. I feel like we're going to get a lot of Joe Mixon this weekend. I don't know how you feel. You're the man there. You're the one that, but from an outsider looking in, I feel like we're going to get a heavy dose of Joe Mixon and maybe other running backs getting thrown in there. But I really feel like I think they're going to try and control the ball and really try and run the football and establish the run.
They've struggled so much to do that. I think they would love to do that, but they struggle so much run blocking. And it's really been an issue for dating back to post-bye. I think it really, outside of the Pittsburgh game, I want to say, their second win, they just crushed Pittsburgh at Paul Brown Stadium. After that, Joe Mixon's struggled to average 4 yards a carry in any of these games and really get going. At the same time, if you can neutralize that pass rush some, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, all these guys that can get after Burrow, of course, you want to try to establish the run a bit. So I agree. I think they'll be balanced, especially early. And if he gets going, they'll stick with it. At the same time, I don't think they're going to be afraid to abandon it because it's a 60-minute game, right? And all season long, I think they've wanted to limit the number of hits Burrow's taken. Well, now it's Super Bowl. Now it's the Super Bowl. Now there's a world championship on the line. So if you can get after it and you can do whatever it takes, if it's dropping Burrow back, and I don't think they're going to drop him back 60 times, but if they think that's the recipe for success, they'll do it. But Mixon, I think, should be a big factor, not only as a runner, but in the screen game. No doubt about it, as you try to neutralize that pass rush.
So you've seen that picture where it says no regrets, that famous, yeah. So there's no regrets on drafting Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, correct?
Hell no. No, I mean, that dude, Jamar Chase is different, man. And they thought it. Joe certainly was on board with it. And you're seeing it. I mean, he's had such a record-setting year, postseason records now, right? The most receiving yards by a rookie in the playoffs, set a Bengals franchise record, 1,455 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, 81 receptions. He's just been insane. And get your popcorn ready, because if it's Jamar Chase, versus Jalen Ramsey one-on-one, and I don't think it will be. They'll have their matchup, but I don't think that Ramsey's going to follow him. But if he does, that could certainly be a fun one. And what I'm really curious to see is how this Bengals offense with 2 weeks moves around its best playmaker, right? They have 2 weeks to prepare. They get it. The Rams are favored, and they were built to win the Super Bowl, and they're all in on this year. The Rams, they might have their hands full with this Bengals offense if Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan can cook up some new things on offense for this Super Bowl matchup.
Speaking of which, let me get my co-host in here, Gilbert Manzano. He's finally joining us. Some guys have diva moments, and Gilbert's one of them. He wanted to step out, but I'll let Gilbert ask the question, and then I'll jump back and ask my question.
Fernando, how dare you call me a diva? But I will apologize to you, James. I've made you wait. I wanted to be on and talk to you because I wanted to talk to you about the last interview we had, and I felt like we were kind of discounting the Bengals and the Chargers. We were right on the Chargers; they're gone. But what happened with you, James? You're kind of not believing in the Bengals, and here we are. What happened to the Bengals?
Yeah, well, one, and I told Fernando this: the self-inflicted mistakes, all these turnovers. Burrow, at one point, was leading the NFL in interceptions. He's been great at taking care of the ball the past 2 months, and I think that's a huge difference, and really the difference why they're here is he's playing like an elite quarterback. Had the ugly interception in the AFC title game against the Chiefs, but the one he had the week prior wasn't his fault. So he's had one interception that I would charge to him over the past 6 to 7 weeks. So that's a big part of it. And, the other part is this defense. I mean, this defense, they've been so multiple holding Derrick Henry to 62 yards rushing. The next week, holding Patrick Mahomes to 3 points in the second half. I mean, it's in overtime. It's just it's wild to think about that they're here. I would have called you crazy if you would have said it when we last talked, but they're here, and I've said this because I think a lot of people assume it's Bengals, it's house money. To me, it's not house money because you never know when you're going to get back here. They may have a better roster next year or the year after or more talent, and they probably should. They're a young team. But, man, it takes a lot of luck to make it to the Super Bowl. And so now that they're here, you have to take advantage of it.
And they also young team, and they have money going into this offseason. But, James, you're in Kansas City. You're watching the game. It's halftime. Paint us a picture. Be Picasso for us right now. That second half, paint us a picture. What did you think going into that when everything started happening in the second half?
Well, first I'll tell you at halftime, I was like, man, what's the halftime meal? I'm hungry, and I know it's going to be a long ass night regardless after this game, no matter what happens. No, I think the first thing, it's 21-10. They were down 21-3. I thought the fact that the Chiefs didn't take 3 at the end there, and all you had to do was throw it to the end zone, and there's probably a second left, and instead you do the little bubble screen, and Patrick Mahomes owned up to it. I thought that opened the door because the door seemed pretty close to shut. Eli Apple makes that tackle. Now he's feeling himself. This defense it gets together, says, all right, we stopped them once. We can keep doing it. Let's get a stop here to start the second half. And they did. And then the offense doesn't even cash in. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, you need a stop and a score after halftime, and you'll be in it. They get the stop, and then they punt. And it's like, all right, well, you just don't have a shot. But this defense, they were able to hold it down and allow the offense to slowly get back into it. They kick the field goal. It's 21-13. And then the defense makes another huge play. B.J. Hill, that interception towards the end of that third quarter. And that was the moment, I think, where the offense was like, okay, this is our shot. If we're going to win this game, if we're going to beat Patrick Mahomes and escape Arrowhead, we've taken all these haymakers, and we're down by 8, and we have the ball in Chiefs territory. They drive down Jamar Chase, the guy I just praised, and they're certainly happy to draft him. Makes a huge catch on third down, the fade. I mean, how many rookies in the AFC title game are catching a fade like that? And I know it was one-on-one, but still, just out bodies the cornerback, makes the play. And then they get the 2-point conversion. And this is where Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor deserve a ton of credit. Trent Taylor hadn't caught a pass from Joe Burrow outside of practice occasionally all season long. Rarely does he catch passes from Burrow in practice because it's Brandon Allen, the backup, throwing to Trent Taylor, this practice squad wide receiver that gets promoted to play punt returner. And yet they use Chase to command the double team and distract the one cornerback. Taylor runs a perfect route, and boom. When they tied it, I think that's when that doubt went away, and it was like, man, they really do have a shot here because of the offense, because of the weapons and the way the defense was playing. It was like, well, if they need to match Mahomes, they can, but the defense is playing great, and that was obviously the deciding factor. So it was a wild game, and it was the type of game that you look back on and you're like, man, it was just their year. And I don't know that yet. They still have to find a way, right? But in Arrowhead, right, and you mentioned it before, in Nissan Stadium, 9 sacks, and it was really 11 sacks. 2 didn't count. 1 was a timeout. 1 was nullified by a penalty. But he got sacked 11 times, 13 quarterback hits. They escaped with the win. And then down 21-3 to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs, a team that has never lost to a quarterback not named Tom Brady in the postseason. And they rally and win in this loud Arrowhead Stadium. It's crazy environment. The Bengals, this team that hasn't, in my lifetime, won a playoff game until this season. So the fact that they're here, it's wild, and it was a wild scene on the AFC Championship game.
James, as you know, I got here late, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself of a question that Fernando asked you. But there's 2 things I keep talking about here at Super Bowl Radio Row, because you brought up the halftime food for the AFC title game. Where's the food here at Radio Row? I keep asking Fernando, there's no food here. I keep complaining all the time. And 2, the thing I talk about the most is, might be a repeated question, but Joe Burrow swag, coolness factor, his poise. And it's funny because when I see him talk, he doesn't have like that outgoing kind of brash personality, but something about him, his laid back demeanor, kind of cool guy. Mm-hmm. It seems like the Bengals are really kind of gravitated towards that. Have you noticed that? Even the city too of Cincinnati When it comes to kind of the Joe Cool, Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, Joey Franchise, when it comes to all those names, something about him, the way he is and carry himself, has really kind of gravitated towards the team and the city, right?
Yeah, for sure. And well, you mentioned food, man. We got the food right here. I don't know. I love these things, man. Who brought these? Smart. Look at these, man. I'm about to eat all of them. But now I got to talk about Joe Burrow, right? It's wild. It's weird. Like, he has this JB9 chain, and he's got the smile, and he's just unapologetically himself, right? So, like, he'll own that he loves SpongeBob and wear a suit one week, and then he'll wear a Space Jam jacket the next week. And you ask him, it would be like, I just thought it was cool. Yeah, like, and I think you can just you respect that. Someone who's just like, this is who I am. And when I'm at work, I'm going to bust my ass and work as hard as I possibly can to be great. And that's that. And I think people can follow him and relate to him because we all want to be that way, right? And so whatever background you're from, because the locker room is crazy. You have so many people from so many different areas across the country, and everyone relates to Burrow. It's wild. And you talk to people at LSU before the draft, and it was the same way. And he's so, yeah, someone like Jamar Chase to someone like Trent Taylor to someone like Trey Hendrickson, they're all like, yeah, I either signed here or I wanted to come here to play with Joe Burrow. And I think it's a big reason why they're here is because of his attitude and because of the precedent that he sets and the standard that he sets that goes down the line from the front office to wanting to make sure they do everything they can to put him in position, to the coaching staff, to his teammates. Everyone has a certain standard, and that started with Joe Burrow when they drafted him in April 2020.
So when he was at LSU, they win the national championship. You see him on a couch smoking a cigar. Man, if he wins the Super Bowl, I want to see what he's gonna do. Like he's gonna do something bigger. I think I'm really trying. I really want to see what he would do if they won the Super Bowl.
Are you admitting you're rooting for the Bengals? Is that what that is?
I mean, it's not that I'm rooting for them. I want to see Joe Burrow just be Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I feel like when he wins, he's Joe Burrow. So obviously, I do want to see a little bit of that.
Yeah, it is interesting to see what he'll do. And, I certainly think a cigar will be involved. What brand, I don't know. But, yeah, I think it's kind of his thing that he's going to do now. He said anytime he wins a title, they won an AFC North title earlier this year. They had a big celebration. I want to see all the dancing, man, because he dances. Obviously, Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, and those guys like to dance. Quentin Spain likes to dance. So it would the dance party that would ensue at SoFi Stadium would be quite wild. And I agree with you. I think there would be plenty of cigar smoke in the air.
And a lot of gritty, right?
A lot of gritty. Yes.
I teach Fernando that it's not the giddy, it's the gritty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you taught him the dance. Yeah,
I can do it.
Not Mac Jones, man.
Let's see.
I don't want to pull something.
You knew I was going to call you. You knew I was going to take the bait. I can't believe I
you
took
saw
the
Adam
bait.
Schefter like tore his ACL doing it. I ain't risking that. The way my insurance is set up, I don't think I could take that kind of risk.
The way my insurance is set up.
But I got to put you on the spot now, unless you got something else, Gilbert. All right. Who wins this weekend?
Oh, man. Come on now. It's Tuesday.
And what's the score? So?
What are you doing?
That's fine.
It's Tuesday.
It's fine.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Ooh, that's people on Monday, by the way.
Sunday. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Right now, we've had
it's
five
tough.
guests.
Yeah, what's the score?
3-2 Bengals.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
These are the underdog.
Who have you had on? Roughly.
Jonathan Coachman, Darren Sproles.
They picked Bengals?
And Amber Theo Harris said Bengals.
Jonathan Coachman. I like
Jonathan
it.
Coachman.
Watched him growing up on WWE.
Dude, so I met him outside, right? We're walking in,
Yeah.
and he's coming out, just got his credential. And I'm like, the coach, and I asked him, like, hey, would you jump on with us? He's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So, like, he jumped on with us and everything, and he was awesome. But yeah, these guys are all saying Bengals because of the underdog factor. So 3-2 right now, Bengals.
Yeah, it's tough. I see the path, obviously, for the Bengals to win. Can they keep Burrow upright long enough? That might be a second and a half. That might not be a lot, but that might be enough. Like, this wide receiver group might be able to do what it can do that quickly, and this offense might be able to scheme up enough. But to me, it's going to come down to the defense. We've seen it all throughout
the underrated factor of the Bengals.
The Raiders 19 points, the Titans 16 points, the Chiefs 3 points in the second half and overtime. Can this Bengals defense do it one more time? That's what it's going to come down to. Will Trey Hendrickson make the strip sack? Will Von Bell have an interception, or Jesse Bates, or Mike Hilton? And if they do that, and by the way, Matt Stafford is known for doing that, throwing interceptions. He should have against the NFC.
Oh, you forgot to mention my boy Sam Hubbard. Man, that guy's underrated.
Sam Hubbard?
Hubbard, my bad, yeah.
Hubbard, your boy.
Hubbard,
No,
He's your boy, Fernando.
He's from Cincinnati too.
No, I know, but I think he's very underrated.
Maybe it's a strip sack for Sam Hubbard. He had 2 sacks against the Chiefs, so you never know. But that's the thing, is this defense has so many options that way, and they're gonna have to get a game-changing player too. And so if you told me that happened, I would pick the Bengals. I think the 4.5. I'll do the betting line. I think the 4.5 is way too high. I just do. Joe Burrow 4.5. I would certainly take the Bengals against the spread.
Evan's gonna come in, McPherson.
Oh man,
and he's.
Bang. You think so? That's your prediction?
That dude has so much swag. Like,
dude, I know.
It's funny because we covered Michael Badgley. He called himself the Money Badger, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the swag that this kid. Like, this kid has a different kind of swag that I like watching him. Like I listened to his presser yesterday, and he was a lot of fun to listen to. And he's just a cool kid. And I remember his kick at Florida where he kicks it up into the uprights and like he hits the top of a Gatorade bottle. And
that's real. So he tried it. He said it took him about 35 times. He was like, I knew I could do it. It was like, because I aim all the time. He was like really calm about. I knew I could do it. I knew it would take a little bit. It was very real. Believe that. Dude's different.
Hey, 35 is actually not that bad. I would have thought more tries, but I'm just saying that kid has sweat. That kid, if he gets the opportunity to hit that game winner, I feel like he has ice in his veins, and he would just be like, "Yeah, I nailed it." And what?
In Tennessee,
now as a rookie.
In Tennessee, you heard this story, right? Burrow told it to me after the Tennessee game. He swung his leg and he was like, as he was walking, doing his little warm-up kicks, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship. Free throw line.
You're a rookie kicker. What are you doing?
How many teams are going to draft the kicker in the 2022 draft? Because of Evan McPherson.
I know. It changes. And it's such a weapon. It really has changed. It's why they're here.
Well, and that's what I was telling him. Like, and we've been talking about, since we both cover the Chargers and everything, Chargers need a game-changing punter. Like, you need a punter to be that kid from San Diego State, Matt Ariza. You talked about all these different, but like
first-round pick?
5th. I'm gonna say that kid's a 5th round.
5th? Wow.
That kid's leg. He hit 480 yarders this year from he punted 80 yards.
Really?
So he was a weapon for San Diego State. That's why they were decent this year. Because,
that's where we're at in Chargers talk, huh? Is punters in the draft.
No, you're right.
You're right. No. The thing that
he said they're going to give if the Bengals win, they're going to send the Chargers a gift basket because they got their season jump started. There you go.
I think. The one thing from a media perspective that I've been so excited about, I haven't had to do draft stuff yet. Normally, I'm 2 months into draft stuff and a lot of free agency stuff, and it's going to be a sprint. There's not really going to be a break, but I'm not used to this feeling, so I'm enjoying it.
Dude, and then literally as soon as we're done here, because the season got moved, everything hits you in the mouth right after. Like, it's the combine, it's the draft, it's this, and then it's like, dude, guys are in shorts. Like, how am I supposed to see that guy's going to be the next big? They're in shorts.
Hey, I could have told you Evan McPherson was going to be good when he was in shorts.
Could you have told me that Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell was going to take him to the Super Bowl?
Not Super Bowl, no. But I definitely thought Jamar Chase was the right pick when they made it, before they made it. And then I thought he would have a bigger impact right away.
By the way, very underrated player, in my opinion, T. Higgins.
Been great. He's been great.
He's been I think he's in both games. He's had over 100 yards, or maybe all 3.
He had 96 against the Titans, and then over 100 against the Chiefs. Yeah, he's
been the guy that really, he's moved the chain.
And that's why you take Chase, right? Is because teams want to double him, and if they don't, then they're going to pay, and if they do, then you have Higgins and Boyd. And this could be a big Boyd game. Would not shock me at all if Boyd had a big game. Hasn't had a huge game yet this postseason. He's a freak in the slot.
So I think I'm hearing Rams out of your voice.
Really? I just said I would take the Bengals against the spread.
Oh, against the spread though.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
All
right.
That's
You
yeah, we'll,
You know
find
what?
me on Thursday.
we'll
You know
track
what?
you down, James.
That's right.
You know what? I'm gonna let you escape with that because you do cover the team, so I'm gonna let you escape.
I
with that
can't. I
one.
can't spoil my prediction on a
I know
Tuesday.
that's true.
Your
I'll
own
let you.
podcast to plug.
No, I know, but we have and plug your podcast. Go ahead and please plug
Locked
your
on
podcast.
Bengals. Yeah, Locked
Twitter?
on Bengals at James Rapien. Yeah, we're gonna have a ton working on interviews and stuff. So it's an exciting time to be here.
I gotta ask regardless. That's why I asked him. I mean, if he gives me the runaround,
It's the
that's
second
fine.
time I've been asked today, and both times I dodged it. And I don't like dodging. It's just too
That's
early.
fine. No, you're fine. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So I'm glad you dodged that. I hope you get that
But
reference.
yeah, dodgeball. But can Joe Burrow dodge Aaron Donald?
Hey, he was
That's-
dodging Chris Jones.
That's the question.
Man, that one where he just tucks over it, moves and shifts. That one, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's a
Stretches
a
it,
magician.
gets the first down. Whew.
So yeah, no, James, thank you. I'm glad you don't charge by the minute, because if not, man, you would have you would take us
It's a Tuesday. You're lucky it's a Tuesday,
I know.
not weekend rates.
no, and we appreciate you jumping on with us. This was definitely awesome, talking all things Bengals with James SI Bengals. Read all of his stuff. He has a lot of good stuff from the past, from now, cooking. You can see everything leading into the Super Bowl Sunday. James has got it all. James will be there on Sunday as well. So I'm sure him and Joe Burrow, if the Bengals win, they'll be smoking some cigars together. That'll be a good scene.
Oh man. Well, Joe, give me a cigar. All right. I'm
I
gonna say Fernando told me you were giving me a cigar,
So
Joe.
obviously he went from like the 7-Eleven cigars when he won the national championship, and now he's gonna get the good stuff. He must he can afford the good stuff.
He
Now
can.
we're gonna get the good stuff.
That's I
you
would
go,
not be
so-
shocked.
Yeah. So James is gonna enjoy a great cigar this Sunday if the Bengals win. So thank you, James, for jumping on with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Great guest again, Gilbert. We had James on. We had Darren Sproles. Good information. Obviously, James took the safe way out and said, "Oh, I'll take the Bengals with the points," and his hoopla. So that one we don't know. But Darren Sproles obviously said, "My head's telling me Rams." He's leaning, but his heart was telling him, Bengals. And we're Compas, so we lean more with we listen more to our heart than our head. So we're gonna say he went Bengals, but yeah, it was two great interviews.
Yeah, good interviews, but nobody could tell me where the food is located here in the convention center. Fernando, this is day 2. I'm hungry. I can't find coffee. I can't find food, but I shouldn't complain because we have good guests on. It was another great show. Compas on the beat. Maybe this time, when we leave, maybe Dan and Diego might be starstruck with somebody else. But so far, it's been a good day. I just can't find coffee or something to eat, man. So Dan and Diego and I, we actually were smart enough to find, go to Target, and then get some snacks for the day. That's why I'm not as hangry as yesterday. But overall, I think we did okay with the Pringles, the pretzels. We got water. There was no water here. Hopefully the Super Bowl committee is watching this and going to bring water tomorrow because I'm bashing them too much. But overall, we were prepared today.
Speaking of being prepared, so these guys get down at Target, and I'm like I see some two dudes walking out with a crap ton of things, and I'm like, the heck? And it's both of them. I'm like, did you guys buy up the whole store? And like they came out with stuff like this, like peanut butter pretzel stuff. I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing? But obviously, Dan and Diego doesn't know how to do anything small. He does everything big. So he said they wanted good stuff, and they brought good snacks for not just us, but any guest that wanted snacks, they could get some too. So that was a good gesture by Dan and Diego. That's big facts right there. Big facts. I knew that was going to be a selling point for our guests, and big shout out to James because he recognized that. He recognized that your boy Dan and Diego is playing 4D chess out here. While I won't say who, one of the compas who's not related to me, but I won't say who, is out here playing checkers. I don't know what to say. I was ready. I was prepared. No, I'll do it. My bad. Yeah, no, definitely. Both of these guys came prepared. They both brought stuff. It was funny when we were going through the security. I only had my bag, and these guys have like all these like Target bags and all this other stuff, and I'm just laughing at both of them. I'm like, I was waiting for the "Ay vienen los mexicanos."
I was gonna just say it's like when the Mexicans go to like a concert or to the movies, they don't want to pay for food at the concession stands. They bring out the food. I had my Target bag with water, with my chips, and yeah, we were not coming empty-handed, that's for sure. But yeah, I'll give you credit, Dan. You were saying that you wanted to bring treats for the guests, and that was nice of you. You know, give them some pretzels, give them some water. That's how we do it at Compas on the Beat. We care about our guests, and really appreciate everybody coming on to drop the knowledge. And it's only day 2. We got 3 more days to do this, do it right.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's funny going back to what you said right now about that. I think it was a couple of years ago. I think Dan will remember better than I. I didn't get a chance to watch the last Avengers movie, and Dan and my sister and everybody went without me. It was the draft. So it was the infamous Jerry Tillery, uh, Nazir Adderley draft or whatever. It was that whole weekend, and obviously these guys didn't draft well or whatever. But I'm sorry, allegedly. I mean, we'll see how those picks turn out in 3 or 4 years. But as of right now, they haven't. They don't look like good picks. Drew Tranquil's probably the only one that looks like a solid pick right now. But obviously, like they went to the premiere of it, and I'm on my way home from the draft. And Melissa's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Nothing. Like, meet me at the movie theater. I want to go watch Avengers, the last one, see how it went." And then she's like, "Okay, this and that and that." And she's like, "Do you want anything?" I'm like, "Yeah. Can you go buy me carne asada fries?" And then she's like, "How am I supposed to get that in the theater?" I'm like, "Dude, bring one of your huge purses. I don't care. Just get them in the theater." She's like, "Okay." She brings them into the theater. I'm there putting hot sauce, eating them, doing all kinds of stuff out. It was hilarious. But yeah, that's how we do it. I mean, she brings the big bag. We put Subway sandwiches in there. We put whatever we need in there. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Gilbert, when you're talking about that.
I'd just like to defend one thing right now. Do you blame us, really? Do you expect me to get robbed on the daily at these theaters, what they're charging? And I won't say what they're charging here. Not very nice, though. Not very nice. We got robbed the other day. I said, not again. We're going to Target. We're doing it the way our Mexican counters do it. We shall do it, and we will continue to do it. I love Uncrustables, and they're here with me.
That was a hit of the day 2 of Raider Row. Was Uncrustables. Good call, Dan Diego.
So yeah, but definitely crazy day 2. Day 3, we're hoping to hit a couple more home runs. Trying to get some guests on. You're always trying to improve, Gilbert. Every single day, I'm trying to improve. Tomorrow, hopefully, we get some home run guests. But for the time being, sabes que vámonos.
Well, before I hit the outro, man, if you get that the Compas and the boys picture, man, I might have to buy you a steak dinner. But we'll see.
Whoa.
I don't know. We'll see.
It was already on there that we were
No, I'm saying like a nice dinner if you get that picture of the Compas and the boys. But I'm rooting for you, Fernando. You got a step closer today. Danny Diego has to pick up his jaw still from being starstruck. We'll get it on the way out. But on that note, sorry, I'm already messing up. And nos vamos, pues, vámonos.